Conventa. Explore, meet, create.
Our topic today will be sustainable events. My name is Maja Bosanac, and I'm the owner of Eventful. Eventful is the first Croatian sustainable event management agency. So hopefully I will give you great tips how to organize sustainable events. Let me just say who I am firstly. I'm the first EEE event manager in Croatia. What does that mean? It means ecology, efficiency, and ethics events manager. Also, I'm the owner of Eventful agency. I'm the only educator and certificator for sustainable events in Croatia. So I got my master's degree at the Faculty of Economics and Business in Zagreb. And then I left for England and got my second master's degree in event management, focusing on sustainable events. So I proudly stand here and giving you some few tips how to organize sustainable events. Also, I'm sustainability ambassador in personal and professional life. So what we will be talking about today, we will talk about sustainable events, of course, how to make them and how to certificate them. So firstly, I would like to start with a description of sustainable events. Sustainable events are the process, sustainable events management is the process used to produce an event with particular concern for environmental, economic, and social issues. Why those three? Because, as you can see, environment, social, and economic are three pillars of sustainability. And if we take into consideration all three pillars, we will get sustainable behavior. So why do we organize sustainable events? I believe for the organizers, it's the great chance to raise awareness and inspire change among stakeholders all around. So we can count in attendees, employees, suppliers, local community. Also, I believe we can lead by example and motivate others to make responsible decisions and make great decisions about their life and about quality of their life. So we can also introduce environmental and social empowerment into their decision-making process. I believe that is really important because from my example, when I contacted my suppliers and I explained to them I want to organize sustainable events, they were confused because in Croatia, sustainability is not something you mention frequently. So I asked them if they can get a recycled paper for my badges. And they were digging up and they finally got the paper, but they included that paper into their usual offer. And the year after, they got 30% of their income from recycled paper. So I believe that's the way we can show our suppliers also that they can do sustainable part in their business too. So we will today talk about 9 categories of sustainable events. First is mobility and transportation, then accommodation, event venue, procurement, material and waste management, exhibition stand builders, gastronomy or event catering, communication, social aspects, and event technology. I will give you a few examples of all these criteria, but there are really many more criteria which you need to meet if you want to organize a sustainable event. But let me just give you a few examples for now, so you know where to start. So firstly, we will talk about mobility and transportation. Mobility and transportation, when you think about this criteria and this segment, you can think about car-free transportation. So you can talk about public transportation, getting from and to your event with the public transport. In order to do that, you will need to get your location near public transportation, and you will need to take into consideration time of the beginning and end of your event, so people can get to your event with public transportation. Also, you can think about carpooling and car sharing options. On one event, we had sponsorship with Uber, in which you get something like this. So, for example, you give the Uber driver 2 or 3 addresses. They go and pick up people. They drove them to your event, and of course get them back. For that reason, people didn't use their car. All those 2 or 3 people would get there by their car. So you will lose that carbon footprint you will get from them. Also, you can think about getting by foot if your attendees are somewhere nearby. Those are things you really need to think about when you organize sustainable events, especially from a mobility and transportation segment. Second criteria is the accommodation. Some venues has certificates, and that's a great thing if you ask me, because event managers can be sure they reached a certain level of efficiency and sustainability. For example, questions which you will be asked if you are getting certificates are, do you wash your guest towels every day? Or maybe just when they demand it? Do you have water efficiency set in place? Do you have waste management plan? Do you recycle? And questions similar to that. Third criteria includes event venue. This is sometimes the same as accommodation, but if you have venue which is somewhere near maybe accommodation, then you need to think about also a waste management plan. Also, you can get certificates, which we'll talk about a bit later. Also, you need to be careful about accessibility for disabled person. All venues can get the documentation of the energy standards. This is, I think, pretty standard in Croatia, but sometimes information is not really true, so you need to be careful about that. Also, sustainable event venue is the venue which has really a lot natural light, so you don't need to use electricity. Also, you can have light bulbs or moving sensors, which defines is there any person is in the room, and if there are not persons in the room, heating will be off, cooling will be off, lights will be off. So that is really what you need to be thinking about. Our fourth criteria is procurement, material, and waste management. So in this criteria, you can think about if you want to reuse your badges. Also, you will need to think about waste separation. Maybe you will get new seminars equipment because your old is old, or maybe it's inefficient. Also, you need to think about giveaways restrictions, because let's face it, if you put brochures, leaflets, all kinds of paper stuff in your goodie bag, it will end up in the bin. So maybe the better option is to give those information digital to your attendees and just focus on the real things they can use to put in your goodie bag. Also, the decoration on the event needs to be sustainable. The best case scenario is if there is a paperless event, of course. I put this photo of recycled waste bins because I want to just show you that recycled bins don't need to be those brown, green, blue plastic caskets. You can use really nice ones. Also, if you have those ugly ones, you can wrap them so they can go with your theme. There are so many options. Also, when you talk about material, it's important that that material doesn't have perhaps date or year on it, because you can use it next year if your branding logo or similar things are the same. So that's a good thing to think about, because when you put same branding year after year, attendees will really remember your brand. So I think that's really a great thing, not just from a sustainable aspects, but from your branding aspect. Next criteria is exhibition stand builder. Important thing is to communicate with exhibitors with recommendations on environmental criteria waste management. You need to talk to them that you are organizing sustainable events, so they need to organize their stand according to sustainability. They can't use, if they're using food and drinks on their stands, they can't use disposable tableware. They can't use giveaways with large amount waste, which can be recycled. They need to, probably for the best thing for them is to reuse exhibition stands which they used before. That's really a sustainable thing to do. And maybe build yourself an eco-labeled exhibition stands, so everybody will have the same stand and you will be sure they are sustainable. So that's also one thing you would really need to think about when talking to your exhibitors, and to think about when you talk about your sustainability on your event. Next thing, next criteria is catering. Here is a wide range of criteria which you need to meet. Firstly, you need to sign a contract with your catering enterprise, in which you need to put all the main aspects of catering which are important to you, because when you're at the event, it's late. You can't really think about what they are doing. You'll have so many other aspects. So you need to have a contract. You need to use reusable dishes. Great way to be sustainable is also reusable or bulk packages. Tap water must be available for all attendees. It's great to use seasonal and regional food, so your attendees will get the flavor of region they're at, but at the same time, you will have seasonal food, because if you don't have seasonal food, you will get yourself 1/3 of all food costs is just waste. So that's something you really need to think about. You need to have at least one vegetarian meal. It would be a great thing if you had organic products too. You need to think about food waste. So please order 20% less. They say 10 to 20% less. I've been ordering for my events 20% less, and nobody was ever hungry. I believe that really ordering 20% less food will result in less food waste. If you have food waste, you can donate it to some charities you know they will need and appreciate it. The next, we'll talk about communication. It's important to have internal and external communication about your sustainability at the events. So if you talk about external communication, you will talk to your attendees that they are coming to sustainable events, what you are doing for your event to be sustainable. When you talk about internal, your staff needs to know that you're doing sustainable events. They need to be educated about it. Also, when you print your internal, if you don't need to print, please don't. And if you do, you can print both-sided. It's for internal purposes, so it doesn't really matter. It's important to have contact person on the spot. And for me, I believe in this part, feedback is really important, because you will then know what did you do right on your event, what can you improve, and that's the really sustainable thing to do, because it will get you more efficient. The eighth criteria is social aspects. When we talk about social aspects, we talk about security arrangements. We can also involve disabled person in our program. It's important to be focused on gender diversity. So if you can, you will need to have speakers which are both male and female, not just female or male speakers. It really doesn't look good, especially today if they're all male speakers. You can support social and cultural initiatives. That's always a good example, and really the thing you can raise awareness through your event. Also, when we talk about our ticket prices, you can get few of them. For example, for students, for children, for older people, and that will show that you are aware of this social aspect. And the last criteria is event technology. So it's important to stay under 80 decibels for sound. Pyrotechnics, confetti, decoration, snow, foam, and things like that are extremely not, they're prohibited. It's important you don't have any energy intensive lighting effects. LED spotlights are really welcome. Also, if you have energy certificates about your equipment, it's always a good thing, so you can prove that your equipment is also sustainable. So what are benefits of sustainable events? Firstly, there is, of course, financial advantages. All clients ask me, if I do sustainable events, how much more will it cost? It's not that it will cost more. Usually it will cost less, because catering, which is really a huge expense, if you take 20% of that cost, it's really a huge percentage, especially on big events. So you need to think in that way. Also, positive reputation and improved image for organizer, or maybe organization which will organize sustainable event. Social benefits are great. Sustainable events can trigger innovation, especially in the area where there is nothing you can use from sustainability, especially, for example, if in Croatia you come to a supplier and tell them you need something sustainable, they don't have it. So maybe they will think about way how they can improve their business and get you sustainable item you required. Also, of course, raising awareness and inspire change, because I believe that's really important. I believe we all need to think about what we can do for our future generations, and that's one of the reasons why I got into this field and why I'm organizing sustainable events. So from the recent study, 78% of consumers will pay more for sustainable products or services. From this 78%, 35% will pay 25% and more, 7% will pay 50% more, 5% will pay 100% more, and 53% didn't reply, but they are sure they will pay more. I think it's just up to product or services. What do they think it's adequate price for that thing or service? Now we'll talk about how to certificate those sustainable events. There are three kinds of certification. Green Leaf Excellence is one main certificate under which there are certificate for hotels, certificate for location for events, and Green Leaf Excellence for just for the event. When we talk about location and venue certification, of course, that is competitive advantage to those who don't have a certificate. It's shown in many different ways. So I warmly welcome you, if you are venue or location, to think about certification. How do we do certification? We establish the current state. Then we make examples what you can change. When you make those changes, we come and then we appraise your new state. We make documentation, and then you get certificate. When we talk about certification for organizers, so you can get your event certification in two ways. Also, you can get a certificate for one event, or maybe repetitive one if there is event every year. So you can choose to make us consultants on your event. You make your concept, we take a look, see if we can improve that concept with sustainability. We give you some examples. Then on the day of the event, we send someone to check if you did what we asked, or maybe you had other ideas and made events sustainable. Then we make documentation, give it to the board for certification, and then they will give you a certificate for your event. Or maybe if you don't want consultant on your event, you can get a certification for sustainable events. We will educate you. You can choose from just 3 segments or maybe all 9 segments. And then you will make sustainable events. Call us. We will send someone who can check your event that it is sustainable. Then we will create documentation, give it to the board for certification, and then you will get your certificate, and you will prove that your event was in fact sustainable. When we talk about venues, it's important that your venue has staff which is educated, especially for sustainability, because those kind of staff is really loyal, and you have more quality workforce. For organizers, I believe it's really important to learn about sustainability, because I believe it's a future and it will only brings you benefits. So you can get education in 3 segments or all 9 segments. Of course, you will have competitive advantage, and I believe this is the right time to get education, because after pandemic, when we all can finally organize live events, I believe it will be a great competitive advantage in front of your clients to see that you have thought about it, and that you, at that moment when you had nothing to do or very little to do, you work on yourself and you really educated yourself in sustainability aspects. So I believe that organizers who are educated about sustainable events, they can really be changed, because if we get more and more event organizers who can think in sustainable way, this is the only way we can really make a change. As I said before, those little steps, if you decide maybe choose 3 categories out of 9, you will do a small step, but every step is a step forward. It doesn't matter is it big or small, but for me, I believe that the greatest stretch to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. So I think we need to take matters into our own hands, start thinking about sustainability, and start incorporating it into our events. So that was it for me. Thank you so much. You can contact me at my email or through my mobile. You can check our web address, www.eventful.hr. Or if you want to know more about certification and certificates, you can find that information at www.greenleafexcellence.com or mail us at info@greenleafexcellence.com.
Maja, thank you very much. I have some additional questions for you. Plus, we received some questions in the chat box, so I would like to ask you later on to join the link and answer these questions. First of all, are you personally passionate about protecting the environment or protecting the environment?
Yes, I am. I'm using that in my personal life. I'm using that in my professional life. I'm not using just sustainability policy for sustainable events. My whole agency business is sustainable. I'm trying to do everything digital. I have waste bins and I recycle. Of course, I don't have disposable dishes for lunch. I put my food waste into reused containers. So I'm really trying to do change in my as in my professional life, also in my personal life.
So we walk as you talk. So is going green, you mentioned that before, more expensive than classics. You already answered it, but where to start with that? How to explain this to the clients? Because many times this is the biggest obstacle.
Yes, it is. I believe that clients are not educated enough about sustainable events. So you need to explain to them you can pay less and you will get more. I use that tactic to show them why sustainability is good, because you will save on some criteria. Okay, you will pay more for others, but in the end, I believe you can save money. And also environment and social impacts you do are really huge, and you can see them.
And if post-corona future should be green, Maja, where should we start as agencies or destinations? What is the first step, actually? Of course, we heard about certification, but simply if we organize events, simple events, where should we start?
I believe that if we start from both ways, you can get wrong. So I'm also trying to educate destinations about sustainable tourism. So I believe it will be definitely the future. For agencies, I think they need to start thinking about sustainability. They need to start thinking about what can we change, how can we be different, and please, agencies, do not do TED talk, but everybody else doesn't do it. Please do it for yourself, for the environment, for your clients. I think it's really worth it.
It's a nice message, Maja. And my last question is a kind of zeitgeist about Croatia and the situation in Croatia. Can you update us a little bit about what is going on in Zagreb, in Croatia? When do you expect that live events will come back and so on? Just a little bit of your insight from the field.
So, firstly, I need to say this week I've been really busy with requests from clients. It's like everybody came for a break and they all want events. Of course, only online. For on-site events, I don't think they will start before summer because yesterday I read in newspapers that cafe bars will open in April. So I don't think events will start anytime soon. When they do start, I think they will be some kind of hybrid events because there will still be number restriction on the events. So hopefully, I'm seeing that our clients are accepting this online way of doing events. And I'm really glad because I didn't do anything for last year and I really can't wait to start again.
Maja, thank you very much for your presentation. Big respect for what you are doing in Croatia and power to the meetings, as you probably remember from yesterday. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, having me and giving me a chance to talk about sustainability.
Welcome to Conventa. Explore, meet,